May 1st, 2026, Spirit Airlines flew their last flight. Spirit Airlines, one of the most iconic airlines ever, known as the ultra-low budget airline. But last week, Spirit Airlines goes off business after 34 years, ceases operations immediately. This was arguably one of the saddest and shocking moments in aviation. Spirit Airlines was a successful airline, but what had happened that caused this? This is flight history of Spirit Airlines flight Anakin 1833. Spirit Airlines last flight is from Detroit to Dallas. It is a 2-hour flight. The flight took off 1st May at 10:30 p.m. and landed 2nd May around 1 a.m. It actually became the world's most tracked flight. When Spirit Airlines ceased operations, more than 70,000 people lost their jobs, and the 200 aircraft fleet is gone. To understand how it fell, we need to know how they operate first. For most of its modern history, Spirit was not a failing airline. It was one of the most successful airlines in America. Back in 2006, Spirit was struggling as a low-cost carrier, so former CEO Ben Mendoza changed Spirit into America's first ultra-low-cost carrier. Because of this, Spirit sold tickets as only just transportation, whereas bags and drinks will become separate products. Most passengers hated Spirit, but their point of view was clear. You book a flight, we get you from point A to point B. That's what airlines are for. But passengers bought them anyways because it was much more cheaper than alternatives. And this created the Spirit effect. When Spirit entered a route, prices for that route often fell for other airlines to compete with Spirit. People would choose Spirit over other airlines if the Spirit effect wasn't there, as Spirit gets the job done but with cheaper prices. For Spirit to achieve such low prices, there are three main concepts they use. The first one being fleet consistency. Spirit only operated the Airbus A320 family, and it had a common type rating, so pilot, crews, and mechanics can be interchangeable, and reducing expensive crew reserves compared to other airlines. Spirit will fill an A320 to the absolute maximum capacity of passengers. Spirit will also charge insane prices for other products like baggage and drinks. Finally, Spirit used their aircraft a lot, on average 12 hours a day. But one of the biggest impact on the ticket prices was the cost per available seat mile. This strips out the cost of jet fuel and measures every airline management. Spirit will install slimline seats and cram 182 seats into an A320 rather than just around 150. This reduced their unit cost by 17%. This number was the business model, but other airlines would increase economy seats, modify the economy seat to compete with Spirit, and because of that, Spirit's cheapness was no longer as unique as before, as passengers will pay the extra to get more service. But Spirit's model remained viable, and that was until 2020. Like all airlines, COVID hit Spirit hard, but low-cost airlines were exposed in a very particular way. Their network were built heavily around operational leisure travel. The passengers could simply choose not to fly compared to other airlines. They flew business travel routes, where travel is always necessary. They also call cargo, have global network, and have major loyalty card profit. Travel went up again in the summer of 2021, and many airlines recovered and many didn't. Sadly, Spirit did not recover and return to its pre-pandemic strength. The company was profitable before 2020, but after that it did not produce as much profit. By the time the airline entered bankruptcy, it had lost billions of dollars. So what happened? while the ultra-low-cost model is super sensitive to fixed cost increase. When the demand came back, Spirit was into a market with higher fuel prices, higher wages, and aircraft delivery delays and pilot shortages. Spirit succeeded because of its high aircraft utilization. By 2023, aircraft utilization peaked around only 10.8 hours instead of the 12 hours. Take that for a 200 aircraft fleet, and it becomes enormous. It means less flights, less seat, less revenue, and the same fixed costs spread across a smaller operation. And there were three main reasons why this happened. The first was geography. Spirit had a Florida heavy network. When thunderstorms and hurricanes hit the region, delays could cascade through Spirit's network. The second was labor. After the pandemic, airlines were desperate for pilots and crews, and they often better pay, stronger career progression, and more stability, leading to Spirit's pilots switching to other airlines. The third was the Pratt and Whitney engine crisis. The engines suffered from powdered metal contamination, triggering a massive global recall in September 2023. In 2024, Spirit had up to 40 aircraft grounded, bleeding fixed costs without generating any revenue. Spirit's model was under immense pressure, and Spirit needed scale. So in February 2026, it agreed to merge with Frontier, and it was a smart move, as Frontier had similar model and strategy and fleet. But then JetBlue came in. JetBlue offered a larger all-cash bid worth around $3.8 billion. But JetBlue didn't have the same strategy and model, as they wanted to change Spirit's seat plan, wanted Spirit's delivery positions, gate positions, and turn Spirit into a higher cost airline. Spirit did not want this, and it did not allow JetBlue to buy Spirit. If they did merge, it would remove the Spirit effect and increase ticket prices. In January 2024, they canceled the merger, but Spirit had collapsed entirely. By November 2024, Spirit filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. It was intended to be a reorganization and to strip debt and survive as a smaller, cleaner carrier. In a final desperate bid for cash, Spirit introduced bundled fares and blocked middle seats. But this destroyed their core budget demographic while failing entirely to attract business travelers who demanded better lodges and frequent flyer perks. Spirit emerged from the restructuring, but the business remained fragile. Bankruptcy had removed a lot of debt, but Spirit still faced the problems it did beforehand. Then in early 2026, oil prices surged during the Iran-Israel conflict. In a final attempt, Spirit tried to secure an emergency support, including discussions around government-backed funding, but no rescue was completed in time, and on May 2nd, 2026, Spirit Airlines had ceased operations. This is likely the end of Spirit, but a government buyout is still possible. We may expect increase in ticket prices after this. Spirit was a famous airline. It is sad that this had happened, but it had to happen someday. I would like to say thank you to everyone watching. The sources are linked down in the description. As of my contribution, I will be making my third ever butter landing with my custom-made Spirit livery on my 777-300ER.
Too low terrain. 20, 10.
Spirit was never luxury, it was never perfect. But for millions of passengers, it made flying possible. And now, after decades in the skies, the airline that became an internet icon is now gone. Farewell, Spirit.